Are you good to go?
Good to go.
Excellent. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Talk to Danielle podcast. I am your host, Danielle C. Baker. And before we start with today's topic, be sure to like, follow, or subscribe on whichever channel you're listening or watching from. And of course, this is new for this season. We're heading into season 2 of the podcast. And this episode is brought to you by the Self Esteem Doctor with the beautiful Dr. Simone Alicia. Wonderful online academy if you want to help your children boost their self-esteem and work on their confidence. She works with teenagers and young adults as well. Wonderful programs online. I will add the links to her website and her online academy in the comments below as well. So make sure to have a look at that. And today I have an amazing guest. I know I say that often, but I'm really excited to have our guest on today. We have the lovely Dr. Danielle Ramseur-Fischer. We share the same passion in teaching and reading, and how important it is to read to our children and become lifelong learners. So I'm putting the spotlight on Dr. Danielle Ramseur-Fischer. And of course, we were talking before recording how lovely our names are, but I finally get to introduce you. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's wonderful to have you on.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be on and talking with you. Not just because we share first names, but
Yes.
because your platforms sort of really focuses on what I have been working to do with my nonprofit and with my books. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yes, I'm excited too, and we'll get to talk about your books and your bundles of books as well. But before we start, can you just kind of briefly share your story and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. Well, I think it was while I was a school librarian. I've been an educator for 32 years, and during those years, 8 of them I was a school librarian, and I really was able to work with kindergarten and those students that are just starting out with reading. And so over the years, I've learned that children who come to school, especially in the urban setting, those children that come to school in the kindergarten, at the kindergarten, first, second grade level, many of them do not have the foundational skills that they need. And so I
Yeah.
thought, what could I do? What can I do to change that? And I came up with my nonprofit bundle of books, and that was years ago, but it was the help of a wonderful spiritual life coach by the name of Nikita Lawrence, who helped me to really begin this journey of a nonprofit and how to, frame it and what I can do to help students or to help children. And so I came up with Bundle of Books, and Bundle of Books is a nonprofit organization. It is a 501c3. And what we do is we provide 12 developmentally appropriate books to moms and babies. Once they sign up, they go onto the website, they sign up. Someone from my team will reach out to them, talk with them about, reading to their child and what they will expect in the bundle. Because you not only get the 12 books, but you also get tips on how to read to baby. There is a little squeezy toy, which helps with fine motor skills, especially at that young age, because our focus is 0 to 3 years old. And so those books are, again, developmentally appropriate. And I love putting those books together, starting with however age the child is. So mom might sign up, and then the child is 6 months. So I'll start at 6 months to 3 years old. So however old they are, I'll start there. And then putting those books together, very personally, putting a 6-month-old and a 12-month-old and knowing that child's name and the child's sex, it is rewarding for me to put that bundle together and then to ship it to the moms and find out that they received it. And it was so interesting because about a week or two ago, I received an email from a mom that I had sent a bundle to about a year ago. And it just talked about how much she thanked and was appreciative of the books that were sent to her, because it not only helped with bonding experiences with her child, but it also helped with her child's speech. And she was just very appreciative of what our program was able to do. That's why I do what I do. That's why I want to shout out to everyone. Hey, this is Bundle of Books, and we help moms and babies, bond, and we help children expand or enhance their vocabulary, and we help that child, have those foundational skills once they start their first day of school. So that's how it all started with Bundle of Books. And the book part of it, the writing of my children's books, really started with my daughter. She's such an inspiration to me. But she, when I started the nonprofit, I said, how can I get the books? I need the books. And she said, well, why don't you write them? And I said, what? I can't do that. And she said, yes, you can. You've been teaching for so long. You've worked in the library. You know what the book, children's books sound like. You can do this. This is coming out of the mouths of babes, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And so I prayed on it because I am a spiritual person and I believe in God, and I prayed on it. And within 2 weeks of me praying on it, the Lord helped me write 11 books.
Wow.
And when my spiritual coach, life coach, Nikita Lawrence, she directed me to Crystal Swain Bates, who assisted me with publishing, being an indie author and publishing books. I was able to publish right now 7 books. And so I'm I'm just so excited now that I can put my books in a bundle for moms and babies. I mean, it's no greater feeling than that. I get teary-eyed when I think about it, so sorry.
No, but that is amazing, and it's incredible when the inspiration comes, when that it is like almost a calling, and it just pours through you. It's unbelievable what happens. Everything falls into place, and I love that you shared that, because so many people are afraid to take that leap and say, okay, I'm doing this, not knowing how to do it, or how to, with the not having the means or the resources, but it just comes together. And I love that you shared that with us.
Exactly.
Yeah, you did mention about that bond with the parent and the child, and this is where I love the work that you do, because I strongly believe too, working in early childhood education, that reading is so much more than just learning your alphabet and learning words. It kind of, in terms of global development in a child, it's so much more than just linguistics and cognitive development. So for your experience, you mentioned 32 years of experience as a teacher. Can you share the benefits? And you've worked in the library, so you've even experienced it firsthand, the benefits it has in the overall development of a child, not just learning how to speak, not just learning your ABCs, but everything else that comes along with it.
Right. I mean, reading to your child expands their vocabulary. I think of 3 very important developments for children, and that's enhancing vocabulary. So many, children need to come to school with not a certain, but a very broad range of vocabulary in their language. And so reading to your child exposes a wide range of words, and sometimes language structures. I think it also improves attention and concentration. That is so important. It helps children develop those skills, because they have to, you're also developing that comprehension without the mom saying, well, what did you read today? What did you learn today? With them reading, your mom or family member, caregiver reading to that child, they're just They have to have that attention. They have to have that focus. So that's why in my tips for reading to baby, especially for those children who are 0 to 12, it's about just that bonding experience, but they are hearing and the words, day after day or week after week, and they're hearing those words and they're including or adding those words to their vocabulary. And it's just, I don't want to say it's like osmosis, but if you're doing it on a consistent basis as a mom, as a family member, as a caregiver, that language is enhanced. That language or the vocabulary and the language is enhanced. So those are two very important things. And it really follows what my nonprofit is saying, that when you read to your baby, you enhance vocabulary, you increase that bonding, and you are helping your child prepare for that first day of school, whether you realize it or not. But it's all about reading. It's all about reading to that child. And then I believe finding books that are not only age appropriate, but also finding books that are diverse, because we live in such a diverse world, that a child being able to see books that look like them, first of all, and then books that are from other cultures. I mean, you're introducing your child to different cultures and different traditions and belief systems. And so I think that is really important, and that helps the development of the child. Having those books that are diverse, not only books that look like them, but books from other, children from other parts of the world. It just really enhances who that child is as a person, I think.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And this is what I appreciate now is we do have access to a more variety of books, especially for children, and to have them see that, just to see something different, but some things are similar as well. We may be different, but we are kind of seeking the same things. So it opens up a whole new world to them. I
Whole
think
new world. Whole new world.
That's wonderful. You mentioned something, getting them ready for that first day of school. This is something that I've dealt with a lot. Parents who stress out over the fact that they need to teach their children how to read, and to the point where they stress their own children about it. It becomes a chore or a punishment rather than something that should just be part of the everyday life.
Right.
Do you have any tips, or what are the simple ways that we can get our children interested in reading, so that it's not a chore or a punishment?
Well, first of all, parents need to lead by example. I mean, you read if the child is seeing you read, then they'll say, oh, look at mommy, look at daddy, they're reading. Oh, look at grandma, she's reading. So I think leading by example is really important for a child to see that you are reading yourself. And then read alouds, that bonding experience that's part of my nonprofit that I've mentioned before. I think that a child, again, listening to those words and listening to that story will eventually find some relation to it, right? Where they say, oh, yeah, that's me. And that's probably many of my books that I write, because they've all, for some reason, have been about my own children, about my grandchildren. And so the read alouds, I think, are really important for parents to do. So that you're enhancing and making that, while you're reading, I think making the reading with using different voices and different ways of reading the book. If I could think of a book or story, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. You're just not going to read the story, oh, look at Goldilocks. No, you're going to read the story with interest, and you may change the voice of the different bears, right? Baby sounds different than mom. Mom sounds different than dad. So, make it really interesting in that way. Will get kids interested. And then visit the library. The library, in our city, the library for children is so interactive that just for me to let parents know that the library is a place that not only you can find the books, but you can find fun ways to interest children in books.
Yeah.
I know in our particular library, we have a tower where students can go up. And so they're not only, you know, just picking out a book, but they're playing and they see that
Yeah.
it's fun. It's fun to be at the library. And so I
Yeah.
think that's really important too. Creating a reading nook, creating a space in maybe your child's bedroom or even in a house, just a tiny space where they can, maybe a bean bag or pillows, where they can lay and they can read.
Yeah.
I think is really, it makes reading more interesting than just sitting and reading a book. I also found one way that I think is really interesting. It's called a book and movie night. So if you read a book um, that has a movie attached to it, how cool is that to find comparisons while you're watching the movie with your child?
I
And
like that.
right, and talk about
Yeah.
oh look, now in the story in the book there's only one character, but in the movie there's two. Why do you think it's that? And not
Yeah.
during the movie, but they're able to see that books are fun because people now create something visual that they can see. And how interesting is that for a mom and their family to be a part of that? And
Yeah.
and now you're all part of that book that you have
Right.
read about. And I think that's a beautiful way to pique a child's interest in reading.
I love that, especially since it opens up a whole new conversation that we normally would not have in a family setting, and to see that
Exactly.
everybody's perception can be different. And we're reading the same story, but we're not seeing the characters in the same way. I think that's
Yeah.
amazing. Oh, I think I want to do that now. My kids are
Right?
grown, but we can still do
You
it.
can still do it. You can still do
Yeah,
it.
that is amazing. I love
That's
that.
fun.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you this question because I know you've seen it quite a bit in your years of experience as a teacher. But there's a lot of parents who, at a certain point, start to worry about their children's reading skills. There's a certain grade level where you're thinking there's a bit more pressure, and the child may also not have that interest, or maybe struggling. So um, do you have any advice for parents when they start to worry about their child's reading skills, what they could do, or where could they kind of start looking, if necessary, where could they find resources to help their child?
Well, I think during those formative years, that's 0 to maybe 5, or before they start school, you
Mhm.
you continue to do those things that we have pointed out, that I've pointed out. Reading with your child, so important.
Mhm.
Um, uh, Doing those read alouds with your child, it's very important. And then visiting the library is another way of,
Mhm.
and talking to the librarian for age appropriate books that child not so much can read on their own, but
Right.
where they can sort of understand the story without getting too deep in the story. Um, but also asking for advice, asking for help. You're the child's teacher, if the child is older than 5 and they're at school, asking the
Mhm.
teacher, what can I do to help my child improve on their reading? I think we've gotten away from looking at the teacher as the expert, and
Yeah.
they're the expert in those subject areas. And so I think asking for help is one very important tool that parents should utilize, because that teacher is there, that teacher is willing to help,
Yeah.
um, and they can provide those necessary resources that will help parents help their child improve in not only reading but in other subject areas that they may be struggling in.
Mhm.
So asking for help, I think, is really important. And
Yeah.
just have a routine, you know, um, for your child, uh, when they should be reading and when they should be working on something other than reading or something other than schoolwork. So a routine that they can see, that will help them say, okay, reading, we're going to do reading because reading is important. And so this is the time that we're going to do that. And once they start doing that, it becomes organic. It becomes,
Yeah.
just something so natural that they do it without you even saying it. But I think just early a visit to the library and asking for help, parents reading aloud to their child, and then an early exposure again to books. I cannot stress that enough that, I think parents should be reading to children while they're in the womb.
Yes.
and,
Yeah.
and then continuing that way of bonding with your child is reading with them from the time they are born until the time that,
Yeah.
but early exposure to books is so important. It touches on so many things, not to mention the research that says children develop majority of their brain matter from 0 to 3. And so that's so important. So I think just early exposure to books and reading and then asking for help.
Yes, and I think that's the like you've touched a really important point there is the parent not necessarily wanting to ask for help for different reasons. It could be just for fear of being judged, or fear of their child being judged, or but the teachers, especially in the early years, where the teachers, that's what they're there for, is to actually help, support,
Yes.
and guide the parents and the child through this. So to definitely ask. It's not going to be a war. We want children to be passionate about reading. We want them to develop those critical thinking skills, those that creativity. So of course we'll be supporting the families as much as we can. Yeah,
Exactly.
and to work together, I think is so
Yes.
important. It's
It
a very
is.
important point. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's the leading, my leading factor of creating this nonprofit is moms and babies being together, parents, family members, caretakers being together to do this one very important chore of reading together. And it just it brings so many things, that bonding experience, that child seeing that mom or whomever reading themselves, which in turn does something for that child. It's so important. It is so important.
Yeah, that leads me into my next question, because I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on your non-for-profit. That's really what draw me to the work that you do. It's just it's one thing to write books, but to create a whole environment of creating that world for you and your children, I think is wonderful. So can you give us a little bit more, if somebody is interested, or how does it work? How did you set it up, and give us all the information you want?
Sure. So, like I said, I thought of this so many years ago, and through the help of Nikita Lawrence, Miss Lawrence, she helped me to pinpoint the readers that I wanted to focus on, which was 0 to 3, because of the brain development. And then saying to parents that reading is so important that you have to start early, that you have to start when that child is in the womb, or is as soon as they are born, just pulling a book, because you're not even reading the whole entire book at that age. You're reading maybe 1 or 2 pages. And so the tips in that bundle is so important that I provide for parents. That we do also offer mentoring if a parent wants someone to, I call them a stork. And so if a parent wants the stork to give them a call just to see how they're doing, just to see what books they've already read, and to talk about the other books that are in their bundle, they can do that. And so we do offer the mentor. And it's interesting because even though I offer that, not a lot of parents take advantage of it. So I don't know if I have to talk more on, the advantages of having a mentor, but not a lot take
Yeah.
advantage of that. And I think it's important that, you have someone just reaching out and saying, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah.
Because on my webpage, I do offer resources for moms, specifically for moms, and where they can, uh, if they need help in diapering, if they need help in breastfeeding, if they need help in,
Mm.
there's a lot of different resources for mom. And so I think that mentor would just add to what they're doing, how they're parenting their child. It's between 0 and 3 years old. Um, and so I really had a lot of help in structuring my nonprofit and who I wanted to focus on. And so when I get an email saying, "Oh, I got another mom," I'm like, okay, so I gotta get going. Gotta get going. I gotta pack this box, and because with the books, I also include a receiving blanket. And so I think
Oh,
of
nice.
it, and I don't know why I came up with this stork thing, but I just see the bundle, the receiving blanket as that, you know, where the stork is holding the baby. Instead, they're
Yes.
holding the books. And
I
so
love
I
it.
and so I have the receiving blanket, and then, including that toy, the squeezy toy. It was actually by happenstance that the toy was included in the bundle.
Mm.
I had been marketing on LinkedIn, about bundle of books and moms that could sign up having children between 0 and 3. And this lady, I can't think of her name right now, but she reached out to me, and she had been working at Scholastic. And
Oh,
she said,
wow.
well, I recently have transitioned to another position at a different company, but I have all these books that if you would like them, I can certainly send them to you. So she was able to send 250 books to me.
Oh, wow.
Yes, for our nonprofit. And that's how I started with, bundling those books. And so and just, purchasing here and there, and but I've had such a joy just doing this nonprofit that I'm hoping through this platform I
Mhm.
can get more of those bing bings. You've got a mom, you've got a mom. And so
All
right
right.
now we've been able to help. We've been up and running for about a year and a half.
Wow.
And so we've been able to help, I believe we've been able to help 26 parents, 26 moms and babies. So I'm excited
That
with
is amazing.
let's see, about a little over 200 maybe books
Mm.
that I've sent out. And so I just think that's wonderful.
That is amazing.
Yes, yes. Even if it helps one, I've done what I was, you know,
Yeah.
destined to do, because that's where God has led me. So
Yeah.
I'm always
Yeah.
excited when I get one of those bings. I got a mom. I got a mom.
You get them up. Yes. Oh, I love it. And you're right. I love the fact that you have the extra resources. A lot of parents, we're gonna have, yeah, we have to find a way to get moms to take advantage of that, because just
Yes.
to know that you're on the right track. I'm sorry, I'm popping my my earpiece out. But to know that we question ourselves as parents constantly, especially if you're a new mother,
Hmm.
and to have that support, just that calm, soothing voice that says you're okay, you got this.
Yes.
It just,
Yes.
it makes a world of difference for you, and then you show up
It
differently for your
does.
child as well. So I think that's wonderful that you've kind of weaved that into, it's not just about reading, but it's the
Hmm.
full, the full environment that comes along with it, that bonding,
Yes.
and that confidence that you get from knowing you're doing the right thing for your child. I think that's wonderful.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh, I could talk to you about this all day. I just love it, and it's great. I'm gonna throw it out there, but if you have new moms in their family and you don't know what to get, this is a great gift to give
It
them.
is.
It's a
It
gift that keeps
is.
on giving. So I think that's wonderful to offer that as well is it's a great gift.
Thank
Um,
you.
and I'll ask you at the end how people can look into it, join your non-for-profit, or to the subscription and all of that. But I'd like to
Absolutely.
get just a little off topic, and see if there's anything that you would like to share about yourself, a talent or something that you like, that nobody really knows about outside of
Uh,
your loved ones.
um, I can't think of a talent that no one knows. I mean, um, I uh, people say that they love reading chapter books,
Hmm.
which I particularly don't. So that could be something that they don't know. What I
That is a
love
good
to
one.
what I love to read is articles. I can sit
Mm,
with a magazine for hours, going from page to page, and then reading the articles that are in the magazine. That's what I love to
that's,
read. So I love reading. I just chapter books, because I will start a book at the beginning and I'll start reading maybe 2 or 3 chapters. I'm like, I wonder what happened at the end. And I go to the end of the story.
you need to know right away.
I go to the end of the story and I read the ending. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's what happened. Oh. So then I go back to the chapters. And so my thing is I love reading articles. And so maybe
Hmm.
that's something that they don't know about. That would be something. Because I mean, since college, everything has been about reading for me.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
my my when I got my master's, my thesis was on helping children improve comprehension, reading. And then
Yeah.
my doctorate is K-12 studies and education, but my focus has always been reading,
Hmm.
and improve reading skills for children. And then I go to Bundle of Books.
Right.
I I
More reading.
create a nonprofit about reading, and then my children's books are about emergent readers, because those are the children who are just beginning to read, and that
Yeah.
includes my children 0 to 5 or 7 years old. And so everything
Mhm.
has been about reading. So that's interesting that I really like reading articles instead of chapter.
No, but I love that, because that's so often what we encouraging reading. It's not all about chapter books or
Right, right,
comic
right.
books. Any form of reading, as long as
Yes,
you enjoy it, it does its
yes,
job. So I love that you mentioned that, actually,
yes,
because it
yes.
doesn't have to be the latest book on the number one seller. It could be an
Hmm.
article. So,
Yes. I go to Amazon and I'm looking at all these numbers. Okay.
yeah.
Well, what about the magazine? Give me a magazine that I can read.
I
That's
love it.
interesting.
Yeah, that's great. I just love it. And this is another question that's a little off topic, but is there any advice that you wish you would have had sooner in your life, just to make things easier? I like to share things, or people, um, to make their lives easier. Is there any kind of wisdom or advice you wish you would have had sooner?
I think asking for help early, like I
Mm,
like I tell my moms, or
yeah,
parents, asking for help because you don't know. But for me, asking for help, asking early on in my career,
yeah,
um, because I mean I could have, done some things better. Like I said,
mm,
I think before we were recording, I talked about um, getting to know my kids in my
yeah,
second grade classroom as a our first few weeks of school. And you my slogan is lifelong readers are lifelong learners. And so I'm always learning. If
yeah,
I continue to do that reading, I'm always learning. And that's how I learned that, you know, uh,
yeah,
getting to know your students early on is a very important strategy of classroom management and settling
yeah.
or improving classroom behavior. And so I just think asking for help a lot
Mhm.
earlier in my career would have been something that I wished I could have done. Yeah.
That is a big one. It's one that I think everybody struggles with. It's, you don't want to be seen as a weakness or anything like that. But,
Yeah.
and I'm going to throw it out there, but as women, we're often, kind of, tough it up, you can do it. But no,
Right,
getting
right.
getting that help, asking
Yes.
for help is
Yes.
amazing. That's good.
Yes.
That is a big one. I'm still
Yes.
struggling with that one, to be
I,
honest. It's just the
and
ego
I
gets
think,
pride.
yeah, and I think moms, parents, have that
Yeah,
fear. If I ask for help, they're going to think that I don't know what I'm doing, or if I ask for help. But
right.
asking for help, it just opens your mind to something that you might not have even thought of.
Yeah,
And so I think it's important that you ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness at
not
all.
at all.
It's a sign of strength, if anything, because
I was gonna say it's the
yeah,
opposite. Is to be
yes,
able to ask is a big
yes,
thing. It takes yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I think that's important that you learn to ask for help.
Hmm.
And that's what my resources are in my on my website. I think those resources are places that parents or moms or caregivers can go to, because they're in their mind, they're thinking, I need to ask for help for that. Oh, it's
Yeah,
there. You know what I mean? So that's what I tried to do, is come up with resources where they could be thinking that if they ask for help for this, it's there. They can see it, they can click on it, they can go to it. And so that's what I'm hoping my resources do on my nonprofit. So yeah.
that's amazing.
Mhm.
That's wonderful. And what is coming up for you? Is there any new projects? Anything that
Oh,
you're working on right now?
well, I for my nonprofit, I did apply for a grant with Coles um,
Mm,
Foundation, and so I'm hoping, praying that I get that grant, or later on in October. At the end of October, I'll find out. I do have two more books that I hope to publish and get out. One I'm having illustrated by a child, by someone, a young man. He's 12 years old, and
oh
so
wow.
and he's a really good artist. And so he asked if he could, write or illustrate the pages of that book. I said, sure.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it sort of all sort of follows along together, because he was actually one of the children that my daughter babysat for when he
Okay.
was from the time he was 3 months old until. And then, so the book that he's illustrating is about her. Well, it's not about her, but it's the
Yeah.
character is named after her. So that's what he's illustrating. So I thought that was sort of cool to have that as a
Yeah.
story when I get it out. And then the other book is about two little girls who another story that God had given me. Two little girls who are wandering around the kitchen, and they see a door that they should never touch or open, but curiosity gets the best of them, and so they do, and they find this exploration and excitement, and then in the end, and I can't tell you what the end is.
No, but now I do want to know. But no, don't, don't say anything. Oh, that's
So
amazing.
those are the two books that I have coming out, hopefully by the end of the year.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Before we wrap it up, like I said, I could talk to you all day. Is This is a question I ask adults. So
Okay.
it was a girl that has asked me. She had a project at school. She had to interview adults, and she kept asking this question, and they wouldn't answer. And it frustrated her. And her mom would just say, "Well, just stop asking the question." And it's just like,
Uh-huh.
no, somebody's gonna get it. So when she asked me, I answered her right away, and she turned around and said, "You see, Mom, I told you someone would get it." So
See,
I,
asking for
I
help.
asking first. So I told her that everybody I would ever interview, I would ask that question. And this is the infamous question we ask most children, but I'm going to ask you now: is what do you want to be when you grow up?
When I grow up, oh gosh, I want to be like Dolly Parton.
Oh, nice.
I want to be the one that brings my nonprofit to children and moms, and it be the place that moms and come
Yeah.
to to find books, just like Dolly Parton has her imagination library.
Oh,
So that's what I hope to be when I grow up. What
oh,
she's
that's
doing,
nice.
I want to do for moms and babies.
Oh, that's amazing. I was just watching a documentary about her yesterday, actually. It's
Uh-huh.
funny that you bring her up. She does wonderful work with her
Yes.
imagination. Oh,
Yes.
that's wonderful. I love
Yep.
that answer. I got goosebumps from that one.
Yay.
Wonderful, yay. Now, how can people reach you? How can they follow you, see what the work that you're doing? Is there anything? And I'll add that to the description in the comments of the episode so they can go
Okay.
back and see what you're doing. But can you share your social media and website and all of
Sure.
that?
Yes.
Mhm.
So Bundle of Books can be found at www.thebundleofbooks.org. And that is where moms can go and sign up
Mhm.
and can get the bundle of books that we send out, that we ship out. They can also find resources there. They can also find another thing I wanted to mention is, sometimes moms may feel a little, I don't know, apprehensive about reading to their child once they get older. And
Mhm.
so I partnered with a young lady by the name of Jeanette Justice, and she's a educator as well. And she has this awesome YouTube channel. It's called Just Us and Books, and she reads books aloud. And she adds so much flavor to her reading that
Oh,
it's
wow.
it's it's a really excellent program that she's doing for children. So I wanted to also include that, but that's also on my website for Bundle
Oh,
of Books.
that's
Also,
wonderful.
thank you. Also, I go by Dr. Danielle Writes for my children's books, which are
Mhm.
emergent readers, and they can find that at www.drdanielle-writes.com. So they can find that there. And all the books, if they want signed copies, they'll have to go through my website in order to get signed copies. But they can
Mhm.
also find all my books on Amazon. They can find two of my books on Barnes and Nobles, my animal counting book and my It's Bedtime book on Barnes and Noble, as well as Target and Walmart, and a couple others I can't seem to remember right now. But you can find me on Facebook as Dr. Danielle Writes. You can find me on Facebook under Bundle of Books. And you can find me on Instagram, same name, Dr. Danielle dash Writes or dot Writes, as well as Bundle of Books is on Instagram too. So those are
That's
the
amazing.
three. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And I'll add those to the description as well, so they can our listeners
Thank
can
you.
join and subscribe to your channels as well. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited. I'm glad that we got to connect because I love, like I said, I mentioned before, I'm a big fan. I love the work that you do,
Thank
and
you.
I can't wait to see the new book or
The
to
two
get the
little
new
girls.
stories.
Yes.
That's right. Now I need to know. So thank you so
Uh,
much for joining me. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. And we were talking about this before recording, but have a great school year because it's just
Thank
beginning,
you. Thank
and
you.
the new adventures coming up for you. And again, I'm really glad that you had the time to join me today. I really appreciate it.
And thank you. I appreciate you, inviting me to this platform and meeting you. Um,
Yes.
you have such a warm spirit that I hope we're able to stay in touch. I appreciate
Oh,
that.
absolutely. I would more
Um,
than love that. Yes.
Good, thank you. And so I had a wonderful time. I learned so much from you,
Thank you.
and I hope that your listeners have learned much from me. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, I know they did, and I really do appreciate all the work. And we absolutely will have to keep in touch.
Yes, yes.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you again. And for everyone listening, whichever channel you're listening or watching from, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow, and do the same with Dr. Danielle. And don't forget to check out the Self Esteem Doctor's online academy as well. Amazing things for your children there. The free resources, again, I think it's wonderful, especially for children that are in school. And until then, stay safe, stay awesome, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.